watching Startup Central with me, Nayantara Rai. Just yesterday, we broke the mega exclusive of how Tatas were going to buy India's largest e-grocery, BigBasket, that the deal has been inked for the Tatas to buy a 68% stake for about 9,500 crore rupees, prescribing a valuation of 13,500 crore rupees enterprise value for BigBasket. Now, this deal is significant for so many reasons. One, of course, the sheer size. This is the largest M&A you're seeing in the startup ecosystem since the massive one of Flipkart and between Flipkart and Walmart back in 2018. The second, Tatas will be entering the digital economy with this transaction. Will this be the start of launching a SuperApp, something the top boss N. Chandra has been on record about? Third, the Tatas will be directly competing with the biggest of the biggest, whether it is Amazon, Reliance Industries and Jio, Flipkart. So certainly a space to watch out for. Today, what we're going to be discussing on Startup Central is the multiplier effect of this big transaction. And to talk about that and a lot more, joining us is Ganesh Nayak from Let's Venture. Ganesh, thank you so much for taking the time out for joining us here on Startup Central. They always say that when you see consolidation, it means the ecosystem is maturing. And this is a really big M&A, which should definitely bolster the ecosystem at large. It's good news for the employees of BigBasket and the ESOPs that they hold. It's good news for founders. They will realize that be patient. If you focus on building a great product, you can get a great exit.
Yeah, indeed, Nayantara. I think this is a momentous occasion for the entire ecosystem. I think it's the first instance where an Indian business house has bought the top player in a particular category and have agreed to pay a top valuation to make that acquisition. I think, in the last few years, companies would aim for an IPO or they would look for an acquisition from other unicorns such as Flipkart. BigBasket itself has acquired several companies, including Let's Venture's portfolio company called Daily Ninja. But nobody thought of pitching to the Indian business houses because there were no large outcomes that gave precedence to that. Most of the acquisitions were the number 2, 3, or 4 player, or there were distressed situations that nobody aspires to, right? But I think this is the first instance where an Indian business house has valued the number 1 player in a particular category and are paying market price for it. I think it's a very significant instance for all of us in the ecosystem, and I hope there are several more transactions like this. It's a complete circle for the Indian ecosystem when you're able to raise money and also exit to an Indian player.
Absolutely. It is the first time that you are seeing an Indian business house go and make $1 billion plus acquisition in the startup ecosystem. I don't know whether this is going to put pressure on other conglomerates and other Indian business houses to do the same. But one must also talk about the fact, Ganesh, that when it comes to Ratan Tata at least, he gets the startup ecosystem. Look at his portfolio. He's been so vocal about startups, their importance. He's been taking time out to mentor young founders. He's been spending time with VCs as well. And I would imagine that would have a rub-off effect.
Absolutely. I think Sir Ratan Tata has been a pioneer even in his individual capacity. I think he started making startup investments back in 2015. In fact, he has made a personal investment in Let's Venture, and we have had a multiplier effect from his funding by funding 325 companies in the last 5 years. So I think he has really been a pioneer at his personal capacity, and I think that's rubbed off on the Tata Group. And at Let's Venture Plus, which is our platform for family offices to invest, we're seeing multiple promoters of multiple Indian houses invest in their personal capacity. Right? We have promoters of several billion-dollar companies, many of them listed. They're investing from their personal pocket and they are spending time with startup founders, spending time with VCs. So a lot of that cultural assimilation from traditional businesses is happening with the startup ecosystem. And I really wish that it kind of transitions into not just from their personal investments, but also into their group companies. I feel that there's a lot of scope for investments and acquisitions from the companies that these promoters are controlling. And I think Ratan Tata has been probably the best example that can be there for the Indian founder ecosystem, as well as for the Indian business community.
Larger point also I wanted to make was, Ganesh, that usually Indian conglomerates, Indian businesses are very into systems and processes. There is red tape, bureaucracy, which doesn't happen in the startup ecosystem. You have to be completely different, passionate, new age, cutting edge. They don't love systems and processes. Look at Reed Hastings and what he wrote on his book about Netflix. But because of Ratan Tata's personal involvement, do you think that will also have a rub-off effect in the work culture and how Tatas will approach BigBasket?
I think we should give due credit to the Tata Group. And I think a very objective signal that they have sent out by making this acquisition is that they are paying top dollar for this acquisition. They are valuing BigBasket at multiples of $1 billion, and they are putting 9,500 crores. I think for them to value a new age business like this is itself a huge cultural shift. I think we should acknowledge that. And I'm pretty sure that their leadership team would have done a lot of homework in making this transition. They have tried several businesses of their own in e-commerce, in digital, and they have decided to make an acquisition of the number one player. And they're offering top dollar. I emphasize on this is because that in itself is a huge signal of the shift in culture, shift in worldview, and shift in perspective. And kudos to the Tata Group for making this.
Absolutely. The very fact that Tatas have decided to buy out or to buy the category leader also must be discussed. So far, what have you seen? You have seen large business houses and conglomerates take stakes in startups, which might have synergy or may not have synergy. But these are also not the size of the big baskets that we have in the ecosystem. So buying out the category leader, it shows a very strong message as well, but it's also smart. You enter the digital economy with the biggest, you get access to a massive user base with which the Tatas can perhaps cross-sell. We don't know if the other business houses will do it, but it would be an educated guess that they would also look at such an option.
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that they are putting in 9,500 crores means that they look at BigBasket becoming multiple times that, right? So they're looking at a vision where BigBasket could potentially become tens of billions of dollars worth. And when they start to achieve that outcome, I'm pretty sure that all the other business houses will start to take notice of the size of the opportunity. I think there were a lot of naysayers for Flipkart, and then you had Walmart come in and take controlling stake and inject a lot of capital. And now everybody is talking about a huge Flipkart IPO, right? Probably $50 billion and upwards. I think what it has done, it has just kind of expanded the view amongst the Indian community about the true size of the digital economy. And I still think we have not really seen the full potential of this. And it continues to amaze me, how quickly the market size is increasing. We are producing more unicorns every year than the previous year. Even in the pandemic year, we had more unicorns created than the year prior to that. So I think we are going to be surprised on the positive side. And like I shared with you, the promoters of these large business houses, they are actually participating in their private capacity, in their individual capacity. And I'm pretty sure that once they assimilate what's happening, they would want to have their interests diversified into the new age economy.
And there will be a multiplier effect, I'm sure, whether it is of other business houses looking at acquiring startups. The other multiplier effect, of course, is going to be that all those who have been a part of the big basket story and hold ESOPs, they can get to cash in, they get to enjoy the premium the Tatas are willing to pay, and therefore it allows them maybe to come out with more innovative ideas, found more startups, and of course, it gives a lot of encouragement to the ecosystem at large. Ganesh, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us live on this edition of Startup Central. And a point that Ganesh was also making, that build a good product and you will get an exit, and that's exactly what we see in the BigBasket scenario. It's an example, it's not an example, but it's something that the Prime Minister has also spoken about today, what his message to the startup ecosystem. That's coming up for you after this break.